A couple of days later, our new ABS control unit has arrived. Here is the part number. We got an OEM control unit from Mercedes. So I'm going to show it to you before I install it. So here it is, nice and shiny. So here she is. Here is our brand new ABS control unit from Mercedes. And this unit is expensive. That's all I can say. Okay, so I'm going to install it. To get this installed, I'm going to disconnect our old ABS control unit. I'm going to disconnect the electrical connector. I'm also going to disconnect the brake lines, and then we're going to bleed the brakes after we install it. Okay, I'm going to install this unit off camera. When I get this unit installed, I will bring you guys back up so that we can verify our repair. This unit has to be programmed. We're going to install it, we're going to bleed the brakes, and then I'm going to take the vehicle to the Mercedes dealership so that they can program this ABS control unit, because I don't have the right equipment to program this ABS control unit. Okay, so I'm going to install this off camera and then I'll bring you guys back up. I have replaced the ABS control unit off camera. I'm going to bring you up to speed and show you what I did off camera, and then we're going to continue with our project. Here is our brand new ABS control unit. Right here, as you can see, it looks nice and shiny. So I replaced the ABS control unit off camera. I bled the brakes. I also reinstalled the cover of the electrical connector of the ABS control unit. So we're good to go. Okay. Now, when I was bleeding the brakes, the bleeder screw on the passenger side front caliper broke. I'm going to show you this over here. So since the bleeder screw broke, I had to replace the caliper. Okay, I recommended to the customer replacing both front calipers since the bleeder screw on this caliper broke. So here is the old caliper, and as you can see, the bleeder screw broke. Okay, now it's recommended to replace calipers as a pair. So we replaced both front calipers, we bled the brakes, and I also replaced the brake pads in the front and in the back also, because the pads were worn out. Now, one thing I noticed as I was servicing the brakes is the wheel speed sensors. As you can see, the ABS sensors are new. Okay, when you look at this sensor, I hope you can tell, it looks new. And when I look at this sensor over here, this looks like an aftermarket wheel speed sensor. Okay, look at the wire. You see how the wire of the sensor is shining? I hope you can tell. Okay, so it looks like someone replaced these sensors. Even the sensor on the driver's side looks new. So I guess in attempt of trying to fix the ABS problem, the previous shop went ahead and replaced the wheel speed sensors, but they replaced them with aftermarket sensors. Remember when we tested the ABS module with the used module that I have here in the shop, we had wheel speed sensor trouble codes that kept coming back. And knowing that these sensors were replaced, I believe these sensors are bad, okay? These wheel speed sensors are causing wheel speed sensor codes to be set in the ABS control unit, because these aftermarket wheel speed sensors, especially on Sprinter vans, they don't work. So if you're gonna replace wheel speed sensors, buy OEM ones. Don't buy these cheap aftermarket ones. It's a waste of time and a waste of money, okay? So now that we have installed a new ABS control unit in the vehicle, we're gonna go inside the vehicle and scan this ABS control unit and see what we got. I already have the scan tool connected to the vehicle. Actually, let me show you the other caliper. So here is the other caliper that I installed on the driver's side, okay? Now, let's go to the scan tool. Let's see what we got. So I'm gonna turn the key on. Let's scan this ABS control unit and see what we got. So the key is on. Our scan tool is connected to the vehicle. So we're gonna do a code scan. Let's scan all the control units on the vehicle and see what we got. Now with our new ABS control unit installed, we have a code in the engine computer, P11C900, and it says no CAN message was received from control unit N30/4 ESP control unit. So the ABS control unit is not sending any messages to the engine computer. So let's scroll down and see what else we have. Let's see if we can talk to this new ABS control unit. So I'm going to scroll down. So down here, we can talk to the ABS control unit. Remember before, we could not talk to it. And look at the first code in the ABS control unit. The first code says C114000, and it says the software of parameterization is faulty. So basically we have a software issue in the ABS control unit. This code is set because the ABS control unit is not programmed, okay? Now the second code says check fastening and installation position of component electronic stability program. So we have all these random codes because it's not programmed. The third trouble code says the coding of control unit electronic stability program is faulty, okay? So once we program this ABS control unit, all these codes will be gone. But we have wheel speed sensor trouble codes. Left front axle RPM sensor is defective or the wrong model is installed. So it's saying that the left front sensor is either defective or a bad or wrong model of a sensor was installed here, okay? And we have the same codes of all these sensors. 1, 2, 3, okay? Now, if we go into the ABS control unit, actually, before we go into the ABS control unit, I want to back out and erase all these codes. Let's see if we can erase the codes. I'm erasing the codes out of all the control units right now. Let's see what's going to happen. And then we're going to go in the ABS control unit and graph our wheel speed sensors. So we cleared the codes out of all the control units. So now let's read the codes again. All right, so we scanned all the control units again. Right now we have no code in the engine computer, no code in the transmission control unit, but we have 8 trouble codes in the ABS control unit, okay? Now, if you look here, out of all these 8 codes, our wheel speed sensor codes are still back in the ABS control unit. Our wheel speed sensor codes are not going away. Since this ABS control unit is not programmed, we should only have these software trouble codes, like the codes that are saying something about the software or the coding of the ABS control unit, not the wheel speed sensor codes. So these wheel speed sensor codes that are coming back means we have defective wheel speed sensors on the van. So if we just program this ABS control unit and give it back to the customer, the ABS light will still be on the dash. And this van came to us originally because the ABS light was on the dash and the brake light was on the dash as well. So although we fixed the problem, but we still have a couple issues going on in this ABS control unit. So in instances like this, it's very important to communicate with the customer and let the customer know the process and what it might take to fix everything. Because since the van came to us because of the ABS control unit not communicating and the light being on, right now I know for sure that after we program this ABS control unit, we will still have an ABS light on the dash. Now, luckily, I did tell the customer that we might have bad sensors in the van. So there is a possibility that the wheel speed sensors are defective. And the customer told me, go ahead, I trust you. Anything you think that needs to be replaced, go ahead and replace it. So I just wanted to show you and tell you that when you fix these kind of issues, especially when a customer brings a vehicle to you because there is a light on the dash, it could be a check engine light or a ABS light on the dash, always make sure you check the system and document all your steps, your diagnosis process, and let the customer know. Because one example is you can have a customer bring a vehicle to you because the check engine light is on. Well, they may have an evap code, they may have a misfire code. If you fix a misfire, the engine is going to run better, but the check engine light is not going to go off because you will still have an evap code. So it's always good to let the customer know that what you're going to fix is going to take care of one problem, but they might still have other problems with the engine management system. But in this case, we are talking about the ABS control system. The module was bad, but we still have bad sensors. So since we got the go-ahead to replace the sensors, I'm going to call the Mercedes dealership so that I can get new wheel speed sensors. When I get new wheel speed sensors, I will bring you guys back up so we can install them. But before I call the dealer, I want to graph the wheel speed sensors right now on the scan tool and show you what we're going to find. And after that, I'm going to order new wheel speed sensors. So we have defective wheel speed sensors on this van. So let's scroll down and see what else we have. So this control unit also is now receiving a message from the ABS control unit. Okay, so now let's go inside the ABS control unit. Let's go to data. So let's go to wheel speeds right there. So I'm gonna graph all these sensors. Now I want you guys to notice the value that we have on all these sensors. Look at the left front axle RPM sensor. So left front wheel speed sensor. Look at the value that we have. So key on, engine off, we have 317.6 miles per hour. If you see this value over here on the wheel speed sensor on the Sprinter, this means you have an open sensor or an open in the wiring between the sensor and the ABS control unit. And since we have aftermarket sensors in this van, I can bet my money that these sensors that they installed at the other shop are defective, are bad aftermarket sensors. So left front wheel speed sensor, we have a value of 317.6. Look at this one. Left rear axle RPM sensor, we have the same value, 317.6. And then right front axle RPM sensor, same value, but look at this one now. Right rear axle RPM sensor, we have 0.0. So on a good sensor, you should have 0.0 miles per hour with the key on, engine off, and vehicle stationary. This is the value you should have, 0.0. If you have a value of 317, that means you have a wiring problem or a sensor problem. Okay, the only sensor that's good on this vehicle is this one, the right rear. The rest of them are bad aftermarket sensors. Now, before I order the sensors, I'm gonna take you with me to the back of the vehicle so I can show you that these sensors were replaced. Look at this. You see this sensor? This sensor is new. Okay, if you follow the wire of the sensor, you can tell that this sensor was replaced. Okay, so this is a new sensor, but it's an aftermarket one. Okay, so I'm gonna replace this sensor. I'm gonna get a dealer sensor. I'm gonna replace this left rear sensor, and I'm also gonna replace the right front and the left front. Look at this sensor here. Actually, here it is. As you can see, this sensor does not look old. Okay, but it's an aftermarket sensor. Okay, I gotta replace that. Okay, so we have to replace 3 sensors on this Sprinter van, and then we're gonna program the ABS control unit. After that, this is gonna be fixed. So I'm gonna call the Mercedes dealership and get 3 wheel speed sensors. After I get the sensors, I will bring you guys back up so we can install them. A couple of hours later, I called the Mercedes dealership. I asked if they have wheel speed sensors. They did have them. I bought them. They just delivered them. Now I'm going to show you the sensors before I install them. So here are our wheel speed sensors from Mercedes. So here is the part number. Okay, and I ordered 3 of them. So these are the front ones. And when you look at the mounting of the sensor, it's actually different from what we have on the vehicle right now. Okay, so here's the other one. Okay, so replacing these sensors is really straightforward and really easy to do. I'm going to install these sensors off camera, and then I'll bring you guys back up so we can test drive the vehicle. We should be able to test drive the vehicle even before we program the ABS control unit. Okay, so I'm going to install these wheel speed sensors. After that, I'm gonna put the tires back on, and then I'll bring you guys back up. I removed the wheel speed sensor on the driver's side. Okay, I got the sensor out. I want to show you this sensor in case you are not convinced about what I was talking about. So here is the sensor that I removed. Okay, look at the head of this sensor. Now I'm gonna bring out the OEM sensor. Okay, so here is the sensor from Mercedes. I want to show you how different these sensors are. Look at the mounting bracket of this sensor. This is the OEM one. Okay, now look at the aftermarket one. Can you tell the difference? Okay, so this one versus this one. So OEM and aftermarket. So these aftermarket sensors are not worth it. Okay, do not install these. These are a waste of money and a waste of time. Always install wheel speed sensors from the dealer on these Sprinter vans. Ask me how I know. I learned it the hard way. I always tell my customers, if you don't buy that, I am not installing it. All right, guys, it's the next day. We replaced the wheel speed sensors. We replaced the ABS control unit. We bled the brakes. So now we're good to go. We're gonna test drive the vehicle and graph all our 4 wheel speed sensors. We have to make sure they're working before we send the van to the Mercedes dealership so they can program our new ABS control unit. So I have my scan tool connected to the vehicle. So now let's test drive the car. Let's see if our ABS and traction control light will remain off on the dash while we're driving the van. We're gonna go into the ABS. We have some software trouble codes. Let's look at the codes we have right there. Okay, these codes are in this control unit because it's not programmed yet. So we're gonna back out and go to data. Let's go to wheel speed data. We're gonna graph all our sensors. Okay, so now I'm gonna start the engine. We're just gonna take a loop around the shop. We're gonna drive around the shop, and after that we're gonna take this vehicle to the Mercedes dealership. Now the tag on this vehicle is expired since it's set for so long at the other shop. We're now gonna drive it. We're gonna have to tow it to the Mercedes dealership. So I'm gonna put our scan tool right here. Here are the sensors that we replaced. Okay, so now let's drive. This brake light is still on because of the ABS module that's not programmed yet. We're just gonna drive around. Let's just drive around the shop and see what happens. As you can see, no ABS light on the dash, no traction control. Now let's look at this scan tool. Okay, you see the data that we have on the scan tool screen. So all our sensors are working, okay? They are sending the wheel speed to the ABS control unit. And now the ABS control unit knows how fast the wheels are spinning. So this is good, guys. This is fixed. Okay, so we're good to go. This is fixed. I am going to drive around the shop and then park this van. We're gonna call the tow truck to come pick it up so they can take it to the Mercedes dealership to get the ABS control unit programmed, and after that we should be good to go. Alright guys, so that's it. This van is fixed. I'm gonna park it over here, and then I'm going to call the tow truck so they can come and tow it to the Mercedes dealership. So we're good to go, guys. This is fixed. Okay, now we just have to get this ABS control unit programmed and we should be good to go. Everything looks good on the dash. I'm gonna show you the scan tool. Okay, all our sensors were working. If we back out, you see this over here. So all this data is coming from the wheel speed sensors, and our sensors are definitely showing how fast the wheels are spinning. Okay, so our sensors are producing a signal as the wheel spins. So we're good. This is fixed. I'm gonna get this van towed to the Mercedes dealership. At this point, we can kind of be done with this video, but I want to get this ABS control unit programmed. After that, I'm gonna bring you guys back up so I can show you that after programming the module, this brake light on the dash is gonna go off, and after that, we're gonna wrap up this video. So this is fixed. We made the right call. We did the right test. We fixed this, so we're good to go. I'm gonna get the ABS module programmed, and then I'll bring you guys back up. The blue Sprinter is back from the Mercedes dealership. I took it there myself to have the ABS control unit programmed. Right now, we no longer have any lights on the dash. I'm going to show you what we have before we wrap up this video. I'm going to connect the scan tool to the van, and then we're gonna take it for a quick spin, and after that we're gonna wrap up the video. I should have taken you with me when I took this van up to the dealership. I'm gonna have to install this side cover, and after that we should be good. And this floor mat also has to be reinstalled, and those I can do off camera. So we're gonna turn the key on. So key is on. Let's look at the scan tool. Let's do a code scan. The scan tool is done scanning all the control units. Let's scroll down and see what we have. We have 0 codes on all these control units. So that's good. This is fixed. This van is in a very great shape. It only has 96,000 miles. Let me zoom you in the dash so you can see. See that? 96.528. So 96,528 miles. And that's not a lot for a Sprinter van. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the ABS control unit. I'm gonna graph our wheel speed sensors. As you can see, we have a value of 00 on all these sensors, which is good. 0.0 miles per hour on all these wheel speed sensors. Okay, so now I'm gonna start the engine. As you can hear, the engine is running. Now, these lights are on because we are inside the ABS control unit. When we start driving, these lights will go off. Don't freak out. Don't say why the ABS light and the brake light are still on the dash. This is not a problem. This is because the scan tool is now communicating with the ABS control unit, okay? If you don't believe me, when I disconnect the scan tool from the van, you will see that these lights will be off. So let's drive out of the shop. I have my scan tool over here. As I'm driving out of the shop, you can see that our wheel speed sensors are updating, okay? We have some activity on all these graphs. I mean, we already checked this earlier, so we know our wheel speed sensors work. So let's take this for a spin and see what happens. So right there, the ABS light went off and the brake light went off as well, okay? So this is fixed, guys. We're good to go. As you can see, we got no lights on the dash, no ABS light on, no traction control light, no check engine light. Okay, so this van is fixed. The problem in this van was a defective ABS control unit and 3 bad ABS sensors. Okay, look at the scan tool. Our graphs are updating. Okay, so we're good. This is fixed. We don't have to go far away. I'm gonna turn around so we can drive back to the shop. And once we get to the shop, we're gonna wrap up this video. Now, the van drives well. It has power, it's shifting well. The owner told me that the van was kind of shifting funny, and that was because the ABS control unit wasn't working and the sensors were not working as well. When you have ABS issues and you also have shifting problems, I would recommend you always take care of ABS issues first, because the transmission computer also uses the wheel speed sensor data to upshift and downshift the transmission properly. So ABS codes can cause the transmission to not shift properly. So right now everything feels great. The van drives well, it shifts well. All right, we are back at the shop. As you can see, our light on the dash did not come back on, so this is fixed. We're good to go. I'm gonna bring up our scan tool. As you can see, all our sensors were updating. I'm going to back out. Let's see if we have any codes in the ABS control unit. No codes present. So this is fixed, guys. I'm gonna turn off the engine so we can wrap up this video. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave this right over here. This van is fixed. The problem on this van was a defective ABS control unit and 3 bad wheel speed sensors. We replaced the sensors, we replaced the ABS control unit. We had to get this ABS control unit programmed. We took the van to the Mercedes dealership. They programmed it for us. Now all is well. So I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumb down. But if you do, you gotta tell me why so we can make better videos in the future. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for watching. See you next time.